I never really thought of myself as someone who kept secrets. I mean, sure, I wasn't out there telling everyone my deepest thoughts, but I wasn't hiding anything, at least not intentionally. Most people just assumed things about me, and I let them. It was easier that way. Especially with him. Marcus thought he was the kind of guy who could make any room feel smaller just by walking into it. Big smile, loud laugh, confident in that casual, effortless kind of way. We met our first year in college, shared a class, sat near each other, cracked jokes, and by the end of the semester we were inseparable. He was the kind of friend you don't expect to meet after high school. The one you could call at 2 a.m. just to rant or laugh or cry, and he'd pick up like he'd been waiting for your call all day. And yeah, I like being around him. Too much maybe, but I never let myself go too deep with that thought. Because I wasn't like that. Not openly. Not to anyone. And definitely not to Marcus. He was straight. Super straight. Football watching, girl chasing, gym bro straight. And I played the part right along with him. Dated girls. Talked about them. Joked about stuff I didn't even care about. I made sure the wall stayed up. Thick and high and untouchable. And it worked for a long time. Until that night that IT started out normal enough. A house party. Loud music, bad beer, too many people crammed into a small off-campus place. One of those nights you don't expect to remember. I wasn't really in the mood to go, but Marcus had dragged me out. Come on, bro, he'd said, clapping me on the back. You've been acting like a monk lately. You need to loosen up. I roll my eyes. You just want a wingman. Damn right, he laughed. Besides, you might find someone tonight. That one girl from Kim might be there. I didn't even respond. Just forced a smile and grabbed my jacket. The party was what you'd expect. Beer pong, shitty EDM, too many people grinding in corners like they were auditioning for a bad reality show. Marcus was already surrounded by girls, laughing too loud, flirting too hard. I stood in the kitchen nursing a warm drink and wondering how long I had to stay before it wouldn't be rude to leave. But then he found me, pulled me outside. Let's get some air, he said, grabbing my arm, and we ended up on the back porch, the cold night air instantly sobering. It was quiet out there, just a couple of smokers on the far end, and the sound of someone vomiting in the bushes nearby. He handed me a joint, which I declined. He lit it anyway, then leaned against the railing beside me. You ever think about just leaving all this behind? He asked suddenly. What, the party? No, college. This whole thing. Life. I looked at him. You high already? He smirked. Maybe, but I'm serious. There was something different in his voice, like a crack in the smooth, confident mask he always wore. I didn't say anything at first, just watched the smoke curl up into the night sky. Then he looked at me, really looked at me. Can I ask you something? He said, voice low. Yeah, of course. Why don't you ever talk about girls anymore? The question caught me off guard. I hesitated. I don't know, I said slowly. Just haven't really been into anyone lately. He nodded, like he was expecting that. But his eyes didn't leave mine. People think you're straight, he said. Are you? My heart thudded in my chest. Too fast. Too loud. I opened my mouth, closed it, then opened it again. I don't know what people think, I said finally. I don't ask them. But are you? He pressed. There was no teasing in his voice. No meant. Just something raw and real. Curiosity. Maybe. Or something else that I didn't answer. Just looked away. He stepped closer, and for a long second, neither of us said anything. Then he whispered, because I don't think I am anymore. At least, not around you. And that's when everything changed. The air between us felt heavy after that. Not like tension in a fight, more like that silent moment right before thunder cracks. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think straight. His words echoed in my head on a loop. Not around you. What did that mean? Was he just messing with me? Testing me? No, he didn't sound like he was joking. He didn't even look like himself. His shoulders were tense, his jaw tight, like it had taken everything in him just to say it that I swallowed hard. My voice felt caught in my throat. What are you saying, Marcus? He didn't answer right away. He took another slow drag from the joint, his hand trembling just slightly, then flicked it away like he suddenly didn't want it anymore. I don't know, he said, barely above a whisper. I just know that. You're always in my head. Like, even when I'm with someone else, I'm thinking about what you'd say, what you'd do, what you'd think of her. I blinked. My chest felt like it was caving in. He kept talking, staring at the ground now. And sometimes, man, I catch myself looking at you too long. Like I'm trying to figure out if you're thinking the same things I am. And if I'm just crazy. You're not crazy, I said too fast. Too desperate. His head snapped up. Our eyes locked again. Then what the hell is this? He asked. Tell me I'm imagining it. That you don't feel anything. I should have said something. I should have told him the truth right there. Laid it all out. But my brain felt frozen, my body too. After years of hiding, years of pretending. How do you just say yes? I looked away, rubbed the back of my neck. I don't know what I feel. He laughed once, bitterly. That's bullshit. I'm serious. I snapped louder than I meant. You think this is easy for me? You think I haven't spent nights losing sleep wondering why I feel this way around you? Why I can't just be normal? He stared at me for a long moment, then said quietly, Do you think I haven't? The words hit like a punch. For a second, I saw something in his eyes I'd never seen before. Not when he was with girls, not when he was laughing at parties, not even when we had those late night talks about life. This was different. This was real that I took a deep breath. I've always felt something, I said, but I buried it because I thought you were straight, because I had to bury it, and I didn't want to ruin what we had. His eyes softened, and he stepped closer. Our shoulders were nearly touching now. Maybe it was already ruined, he said, or maybe it was just waiting to be something more. Silence stretched between us again. My heart was beating like it wanted to escape my chest. And then he moved. Slow, careful, like he was giving me time to stop him. I didn't. His hand came up, brushing a loose curl from my forehead, and his fingers lingered there. We were so close I could smell the whiskey on his breath, feel the warmth of his skin. I don't want to pretend anymore, he said. And then, just like that, his lips were on mine. He wasn't soft or hesitant. It was hungry, like something he'd been holding back for too long. Like something I'd been holding back. My hands found his chest without thinking, then curled around his shirt, pulling him closer as our kiss deepened. All the fear, all the confusion, it melted under the heat of it. His mouth was warm and firm and honest in a way that words never could be. Every second felt like something I'd been waiting my whole life for, but never thought I'd actually get. When we finally pulled apart, his forehead rested against mine. We were both breathing hard. So, he whispered, still think I'm straight? I let out a shaky laugh. Not after that. We didn't say anything for a long time. Just stood there, wrapped up in something that felt terrifying and new, but also safe. Like maybe for once, the truth wasn't the thing to run from. Maybe it was the beginning. After that night, everything felt different. Not just between us, but inside me. Like some locked up part of myself had finally been let out, and now I couldn't pretend it hadn't happened. I kept replaying the kiss in my head, the way his hand lingered against my cheek, the way our breaths synced, how nothing about it felt wrong. But the morning after, that was a whole different story. That I woke up late, the sun already pushing through the blinds in my dorm room. My head felt heavy, not from drinking, but from everything that had happened. My phone buzzed beside me. A message from Marcus. You awake? I stared at it. One message. Just that. No herz, no Johnfuson, no panitz, irreplied, yeah. The typing dots came up immediately, then disappeared, came back again, then nothing for a minute. My heart pounded like it was waiting for bad news. Finally, another message. Can I come over? I didn't answer. Just got out of bed, threw on a hoodie, and unlocked the door. 10 minutes later, he was there, standing in my doorway like someone on trial. He didn't smile, didn't make a joke. Just looked at me like he was scared to move. Hey, he said. Hey. He stepped in slowly, shutting the door behind him. The silence between us stretched, heavy and awkward now. The room suddenly felt too small, too bright, too real. I didn't sleep much, he said, pacing a little. Me either. He ran a hand through his hair. So, are we going to talk about it? I nodded, sitting on the edge of my bed. I think we have to. He sat beside me, but not too close. His knee bounced nervously. I keep thinking I messed everything up, he said. Like maybe I pushed too far, or I got in your head, or you didn't, I said quickly. You didn't mess anything up. He looked at me, eyes wide and cautious. So what does that mean? I exhaled slow. It means you didn't imagine it. I felt something for a while. I just never said anything because I didn't think I was allowed to. He nodded. Yeah, same. We sat in silence again. It wasn't like last night's silence. That one was electric, heavy with possibilities. This one felt like walking across thin ice. We were both afraid to break it. So what now? He asked. I don't know, I admitted. What do you want? He looked down at his hands, then back at me. I want to figure this out. With you. I don't know what the hell I'm doing, but I know I don't want to pretend last night didn't happen. My chest tightened. That was the first honest thing either of us had said that morning. And it meant everything. I don't either, I said. But we have to be careful. He frowned. Careful. I nodded. People talk. This school. Our friends, they wouldn't get it. Not yet. Maybe not ever. His jaw clenched a little. So we're back to hiding again? No, I said. Just being smart. Doing this on our terms. Not theirs. He looked at me, and for a second, I saw a flicker of something. Hurt, maybe. But then he nodded slowly. Okay. Our terms. We sat like that for a long time. No kiss this time. No dramatic declarations. Just quiet agreement, like two people who knew they were stepping into something real and terrifying and weren't sure how deep it went. Eventually, he stood up. I should go. Roommate's probably wondering where I crashed. I nodded. Yeah. He walked to the door, then paused. Turned back. You know I'm still me, right? He asked. I'm still Marcus. I gave him a tired smile. I know. I'm still me too. He nodded, then opened the door and slipped out. The second it clicked shut, the silence rushed back in. But it didn't feel empty this time. It felt full of something new, something beginning. The next few days felt like walking a tightrope, except the rope was made of secrets and the fall was straight into chaos. We didn't talk much in public. A nod here, a glance there. But underneath it all, there was this pulse like static between us, waiting for the moment it could explode again, that we still hung out, of course. That didn't change. Or at least, it couldn't look like it did. To everyone else, we were still the same. Best friends, inseparable. The usual jokes, the usual banter, the usual games. But behind closed doors, everything was different. There were touches now. Not obvious ones. Just a hand lingering on mine for a second too long. His knee pressed into mine under the table. A quiet look across the room during a conversation with someone else. Each moment felt like a secret only we could feel. And that was both beautiful and maddening that we hadn't kissed again. Not since that night on the porch. Maybe we were both scared to rush it. Maybe we didn't know what the hell we were doing. I mean, how do two guys who never planned on falling for each other suddenly decide what they are? It all came to a head the night he came over after a study group. It was late, nearly midnight, and I'd already told myself he probably wouldn't come. But then there he was, hoodie on, backpack slung over one shoulder, looking tired and nervous. Can I crash here? He asked. Didn't want to deal with the noise back at my place. Yeah, of course, I said, stepping aside to let him in. He dropped his bag by the door, sat on the edge of my bed, and let out a long sigh. Rough night? I asked. Everyone's talking about that girl I used to hook up with. Apparently, she's telling people I ghosted her. I shrugged. Did you? He gave me a sideways glance. Not exactly. I just didn't know how to explain why I didn't want to hook up anymore. There was a beat of silence. I swallowed hard. And why is that? He didn't answer right away. Just stood up, walked slowly toward where I was standing near the window, and stopped inches away. You know why. My breath caught. The air felt thick between us. I could feel the warmth radiating off his body, the tension vibrating just under his skin. His eyes searched mine like he was still hoping I'd give him permission to fall apart. I've never felt this way before, he said, voice soft. Not about anyone. Not like this. Me neither, I whispered. Then his hand came up, resting gently on the side of my neck. My skin lit up under his touch. Is this okay? He asked. Instead of answering, I leaned in. This kiss wasn't like the first. It wasn't rushed or heavy with confusion. It was slow, careful, like we were both trying to memorize it. My hand slid up his back, and he pulled me closer like he'd been needing this just as badly as I had. That we stayed like that for a while, barely moving, barely breathing. The rest of the world melted away. No parties, no rumors, no expectations. Just this, just us, When we finally pulled apart, our foreheads touched. "Why does this feel more real than anything I've ever had?" he asked. "Because it is." He smiled. A small, crooked thing that made my stomach twist in the best way that we didn't say much after that. He stayed over, curled up beside me under the same blanket. It wasn't about sex. It wasn't even about romance yet. It was about finally not having to hide from ourselves. For the first time in my life, I felt like I was exactly where I was supposed to be. It didn't take long for the world outside our bubble to catch on that something was changing. It started with little things. One of our friends, Jamie, made a dumb joke one afternoon when Marcus and I showed up late to a group lunch. We sat down, and Jamie raised an eyebrow. "Late together, huh? You two dating now, or what?" Everyone laughed. Not because it was funny, but because people like to laugh when they're uncomfortable. I forced a chuckle. Marcus just smirked and shook his head like it was nothing. But under the table, his leg bounced the way it did when he was anxious. Later, when we were walking back to the dorm, he spoke without looking at me. "People are starting to notice." "Yeah," I said quietly. He ran his hand through his hair, that same restless move he always did when his thoughts were spinning. "You think they know?" I shrugged. "I don't know. I think they're guessing. People always guess when they don't understand something." He didn't respond, just walked beside me, silent. I hated it, that shift, that carefulness creeping in. Like suddenly we had to weigh every word, every move, every glance. It felt like we'd come so far only to fall back into the shadows. That night, he didn't text me. Didn't come by. I stayed up late, staring at my phone, overthinking everything. Was he regretting it? Was I just some phase he was starting to snap out of? By midnight, I couldn't take it anymore. I grabbed my hoodie, slipped on my shoes, and headed across campus to his place. His room was dark when I knocked. A few seconds passed, then the door creaked open. He looked like he'd been half asleep. "Hey," he said, rubbing his eyes. I needed to see you." He stepped aside to let me in, shutting the door behind us. His roommate was gone for the weekend. Thank God that I sat on the edge of his bed, hands in my lap. He sat beside me, not touching. "Are we okay?" I asked. He didn't answer right away. Just stared at the floor. "I've been thinking," he said, "about what this is, about who I am." I braced myself, and I don't know. I still don't have the answers. "That's okay," I said. "I'm not asking you to have it all figured out." He finally looked at me. His eyes looked tired but honest. "I just hate this part," he said. "The part where we hide, where we're not allowed to be us." "Yeah," I whispered. "I hate it too." He reached for my hand, laced our fingers together. "But I don't want to stop," he said. "I don't care what people say. Not really. I just hate the waiting, the pretending." "Then don't pretend," I said. "Not with me." He leaned his head against my shoulder, exhaling slowly. We sat like that for a while, the weight of everything pressing down on us, but his hand in mine made it bearable. The next morning, he did something I didn't expect, that we walked to class together like always. Same path, same time. But right as we passed the main quad, packed with people, he reached down and took my hand. Just like that, I froze. My first instinct was to pull away, to panic, to check who was watching. But he didn't even glance around. He just held it like it was the most natural thing in the world. Some people saw. I knew they did. I could feel the stares. One girl nudged her friend. Someone else whispered, but Marcus didn't care. And for the first time in a long time, neither did I. That one small act, that one simple choice, felt louder than any words we could have said. It wasn't a statement or a protest or a dramatic reveal. It was just him saying, "I'm not ashamed of this, of you." And that meant everything. Word spreads fast in college, faster than gossip deserves to. By the end of the week, it wasn't just a whisper anymore. It was a topic that they'd seen us holding hands. That was all it took. That I noticed it in little things first, the shift in people's eyes. That extra beat when someone walked past us. The way conversations would drop just a little when we walked into a room. Not everyone acted weird, but the ones who did made it loud in the silence. Jamie stopped texting as often. Emily, who used to flirt with Marcus any chance she got, suddenly acted like he didn't exist. And there were others, guys from the gym, a few of his teammates. They didn't say anything cruel, not out loud. But their faces said enough that I tried not to let it get to me. I told myself people would get used to it, that they'd move on, that maybe this was just a phase of shock. But Marcus, he was different. He was trying so hard to be okay, but I could feel the weight building in him. He started skipping hangouts, stopped posting on socials, spent more and more time in my room, quiet, distant point. One night, we were lying on my bed, both staring at the ceiling. I could tell something was coming. His silence wasn't peaceful anymore. It was stormy. I think my dad knows, he said out of nowhere. Damn, why body went still. What makes you think that? He called last night, out of the blue. Said someone from town had heard something, seen something online. He didn't say it straight, but he asked if I was keeping company with the right kind of people. That's his code. What did you say? Marcus exhaled a long, slow breath. I lied. I said he must be hearing rumors. That everything's fine. I didn't say anything at first, because I knew what that felt like, the shame of denying a truth that was just starting to set you free. I get it, I said, but you can't keep living like that forever. I know, he whispered. It's just, he's not the type who gets it. He's the kind of guy who thinks being gay is a weakness, a failure, like it's something a man can fix if he just toughens up. I turned to him. You don't have to explain him. I've met guys like him. His eyes flicked toward me. You think he's right? My heart cracked a little at that question. No, I said. I think he's wrong. About everything. And if he ever knew you, really knew you, he'd be ashamed of how wrong he is. Marcus looked away, blinking fast. What if I lose him? Then you still have me. It was the first time I ever said it like that. Without hesitation. Without fear. His voice cracked a little. You mean that? I wouldn't be here if I didn't. He nodded, eyes glassy. Then pulled me close, buried his face in my shoulder like he didn't want me to see him break. But I held him anyway. Let him fall apart. Because no one had ever let him do that before. And for once, I wasn't afraid of being seen. I wasn't afraid of loving him. But the world outside wasn't done with us yet. The very next day, someone posted a picture of us, the hand-holding moment taken from across the quad. It was blurry, but you could tell. You could feel it. The caption said, "Didn't see this one coming. Guess football boys got secrets too." Within an hour, it had been shared across campus. Group chats lit up. The comments came fast. Some supportive, some cruel, some just curious. Marcus saw it first. He showed it to me in silence, the screen shaking slightly in his hand. I didn't want it to happen like this, he said, I know. He looked at me, eyes wide with panic. What if this changes everything? It already has, I said. But maybe that's not all bad. He looked like he wanted to believe me, like he wanted this to be enough. But fear is a hard thing to outrun when you've carried it your whole life. Still, when I reached out for his hand, he took it. Even after everything, the whispers, the shame, the storm rolling in, he took it. By the next day, we were officially out, whether we liked it or not. People didn't need confirmation. The photo had said enough. It didn't matter that it was blurry or that it was taken without permission. All it took was that one image, and suddenly we were everyone's favorite conversation. The stares got bolder, the whispers louder. Some people smiled when they saw us, quiet, respectful, like they were trying to show support without making a scene. Others, well, they didn't hide how they felt. In the locker room, Marcus told me one of his teammates didn't say a word to him, just slammed his locker shut and left. Another guy made a snide comment in the hallway. Something about watching your back. When Marcus was around, I wanted to lose it. To find that guy and make him say it again, louder this time. But Marcus stopped me. Let it go, he said. He's not worth it. He was trying to be strong. I could tell, but it was wearing on him. Each day, a new crack. His voice got quieter, his steps a little slower, and every time he saw his phone light up, he flinched like it was bad news. Then it came, but it was late Friday night when his dad called it. I was in the room when Marcus picked up. He didn't put it on speaker, but I could hear enough in the way he stood, back straight, fists clenched, eyes locked on the ground. The conversation didn't last long. First came the silence, then a low, angry voice on the other end. I couldn't hear the words exactly, but I knew that tone. Disappointment. Rage wrapped in control. Marcus didn't interrupt, didn't defend himself. He just stood there and took it. I'm still your son, he said finally, voice hoarse. Then he listened again, jaw tight, breathing heavy. Okay, he said. I get it. He hung up. I didn't ask what was said. I didn't have to. I walked over and wrapped my arms around him from behind. He didn't move, just stood there like the weight of the call was still on his back. I think he's done with me, he whispered. You didn't do anything wrong, I said. I know. Does it make it hurt less? That night, he stayed over. We didn't talk much. Just lay there, holding on to each other like the rest of the world didn't deserve to touch us anymore. That I watched him sleep, his face softer in the dark, and I realized something. Love isn't just about butterflies or fireworks. Sometimes it's just being there when everything else is falling apart. Sometimes it's knowing that nothing you say will fix it, but still saying, I'm not going anywhere. The next day, things got worse. Someone spray painted F*GGOT on Marcus's locker. He didn't even flinch when he saw it. Just stood there, staring at it like it was a word he'd been called 100 times before, even if it was never out loud. I was the one who lost it. I reported it. I demanded the school investigate. I dragged the athletic director out of his office and made him look at it. Owe their credit. The school reacted fast. The locker was repainted. A formal statement about harassment was sent out to the entire student body. Counselors were offered. The dean met with Marcus personally, but the damage was done. After that, Marcus started avoiding places he used to love. The gym, the quad, his usual seat in class. It was like he was shrinking day by day, folding into himself just to survive. That I didn't know what to do. I wanted to fix it, to fight for him. But this wasn't a problem fists or policies could solve. That I did the only thing I could. That I stayed. That I sat beside him in class. That I held his hand when no one else would. That I reminded him every day that he mattered, even when it felt like the world wanted to erase him. And slowly, so slowly, he started to come back. Not like before. Not like the loud, fearless Marcus who once laughed at everything and flirted with girls without thinking. But like someone new, someone real, someone who had been broken and was still standing anyway. And the truth? I loved this version even more. Graduation was only 2 months away when things finally began to shift. Not suddenly. Not like some dramatic movie scene where the bully gets what's coming and love conquers all. Real life doesn't work like that. Healing, acceptance, they happen in pieces. Marcus was still dealing with the fallout. His dad hadn't called again. Not once. It was like he'd been erased from the family tree. But Marcus never talked about it. Not unless I asked. Even then, he'd just shrug and say, I'm used to it now, in that flat, tired way that let me know he definitely wasn't. But he kept going. That's what mattered. He started showing up at the gym again. Not every day, but enough. He laughed more. He stopped checking over his shoulder every time we held hands in public. And one night, he even asked me if I wanted to go with him to a party. A real one. Not some quiet gathering or safe zone. You sure? I asked him. You don't have to prove anything. I know, he said. I just don't want to hide anymore. I'm tired of letting them win. So we went. Walked through the door together. People saw. Some nodded. A few looked away. But no one said anything. And that silence? It felt different this time. Not heavy. Not tense. Peaceful. We danced for a little while. Awkwardly, like two guys trying to figure out what it means to finally be free. We didn't care how we looked. Just held each other, moved to the beat, and smiled like we'd earned every second of it. Later that night, we walked home together. The streets were quiet. The moon was out. And everything, just for that little moment, felt okay. Marcus stopped walking and turned to me. I love you. He said it like it was the simplest truth in the world. No hesitation. No build up. Just real. That I felt my chest tighten. Not in fear, not anymore. But in disbelief that this was real life. That after everything, the hiding, the hate, the heartbreak, we were still standing here side by side, stronger than we started. I love you too, I said. He kissed me right there under a streetlight. No one around. No cámaras. No fear. Just as a few weeks later, we got our caps and gowns. Took our pictures. Laughed about how stupid the robes looked. And when the day finally came, we walked across the stage, one after the other. Different majors, different futures, but somehow still in step. When they called his name, I stood up and clapped harder than anyone. And when they called mine, I saw him smiling in the crowd like there was no one else in the world but me. After the ceremony, his mom showed up. She hadn't said much since everything happened, but she hugged him tight, told him she was proud, told him to take care of himself. She didn't mention his dad. She didn't need to. And just before she left, she looked at me. "You must be the boy I've heard so much about." I nodded, nervous. She gave me a long look, then smiled. Soft, sad, but warm. "I'm glad he has you." That was all she said. We left campus that night, not as friends, not as roommates, not as a secret, but as two men in love. It wouldn't be easy. We knew that. The world still had teeth. There would still be judgment, ignorance, cruelty, but now we had something to fight with, each other. And that was more than enough.